The Smogon Premier League is arguably the biggest tournament on Smogon, and it is almost surely everyone's favorite because it is a team tournament. The way it works is that there are 10 teams. Every team has a couple managers. Then players sign up for the tournament after the managers have been chosen. Then there is an auction where the managers bid on the players with money, fake credits, not actual money. I made an SPL video before, and someone was like, wait, people get paid to play in this tournament? No, I wish. So then the teams are formed. Every team starts out with the same budget, and then they bid on the players, and so it's a matter of, how much is this player worth to us, do you think? And they form a plan on how to get all the players they want, and so on and so forth. And then there's 9 weeks of a regular season, and then at the end of those 9 weeks, the top 4 teams advance to the playoffs, semifinals, finals, dramatic conclusion. It's great. Everyone's super invested. They bring their best, and that's how we get some of the most elite Pokemon in competitive history. So, something else I must mention is that managers are not allowed to play in this tournament. And that is because there is no cost to getting a manager on your team. It's just 2 managers agree on, let's say we're going to manage together. Okay, let's sign up. Let's see if we get approved. Then they get approved, and that's it. Whereas if you want a player, then you have to pay for them. That's the whole balance of it. If you just signed up as a manager and then you could play, then you would very easily be able to form super teams. And some smaller team tournaments, they do this thing where if you want to play and manage, then you can buy yourself for a certain price, but that price can definitely be kind of a ripoff for players of a certain quality. It's like, I get to play and I would be less expensive than I would be in the auction. So generally, it's a way of circumventing, forming super teams very easily. Another nice thing about managers not playing is that you can be involved in the tournament without the stress of having to play or without necessarily being an elite player yourself. And that's a good thing because some players' strengths are managers. Like a lot of the best managers ever, they did not have that much success playing-wise, but they were phenomenal leaders and they were great drafters and they put together excellent teams and led them to victory without necessarily playing themselves. So it's a great balance to have. So that's very important. Now, this takes place in SPL 5, which had its sign-up period and auction in December 2013 that started in January 2014. So, we are looking specifically at the Team Raiders. One of their managers is a player named Atticus. Atticus was one of the best players in the DPP era, and he became super, well-regarded after defeating the Smogon Frontier, a tournament that no longer runs, but it was considered unbeatable for a long time because the whole point was that you had to beat like 10 of the best players on Smogon without losing more than 2 games, I believe. And Atticus was the first to beat the Frontier, and it was a big deal. Yeah, he was excellent right from the Diamond Pearl era. Then in Generation 5, he slowed down on the playing and became more of a manager. He was actually my first, not my first, but like my first real SPL experience, because my first SPL experience at SPL 2 was limited for real-life reasons. But SPL 3, the one that really gave me a new lease on my competitive Pokemon days, I would say. One of my favorite experiences ever. He was the one who drafted me. So he has a very special place in my heart, of course. So, and he was a great manager because a lot of great players, once they no longer want to play but still want to be involved, they turn to managing, and they use their Pokemon expertise as part of what makes them good managers because they can help out their players with their experience, especially the newer ones like myself. Telling me, don't be nervous, remember, play your game, all that kind of stuff. Just do what you always do. That's why we picked you. That stuff. Confidence. So, that is important here. Also relevant for this Team Raiders team that he is managing is that their season pretty much ended on the first night of the tournament. It's not that they lost in week 1, because, plenty of teams that lose in week 1 go on to win the tournament. But they lost 4 games, I believe, on the first night, because there's some gap between the auction and then week 1, and you know who you're going to play, so you can prepare for it beforehand, so you don't have to wait until Sunday night necessarily. So, a lot of players want to play for First Blood. Like, hey, let's play as soon as the thing goes up. We have like 2 weeks before it goes up anyway, right? So, yeah, the Raiders wound up losing 4 games, like right off the top, right, like immediately, I think. And we can even check the thread just to be sure. The first game was the NU game, where, or no, sorry, what am I looking at? Oh, it was something else. Point being, I am not re-recording this. Yeah, point being that a lot of several of, I think Blairgen was here, and then Cased won, and then Blim won. So that was at least 3. So even if I don't have it precisely, I'll link this thread if you want to go through it yourself and see the replays. But yeah, and then they did not come back. Oh no, it was 4 because Gary beat Gary won in XY. So yeah, that was 4. It was Blara, Gary, Cased, and Gary, Blim, Blara, Cased. Yeah. So it was 4-0 on the first night, and it's just, yeah, you know that morale was absolutely shattered. So, yeah. So, then we get to the mid-season period. Now, mid-season is where teams can use their remaining credits to bid on players who were not chosen before, who sign up at mid-season. It used to be that some players would not sign up at the beginning of the season, and then they would sign up at mid-season to increase their chances of getting on a team that they wanted. And this was open for some collusion. Like some teams would save their credits so that they could bid on them at mid-season. Because they would know that player was going to sign up before other teams did, so it wasn't fully an even playing field. And that is why in more recent years, if the only players who can sign up for mid-season are those who signed up at the beginning of the tournament but were not chosen, which is a much fairer system. So, that's part of what makes this next thing so crazy. So, mid-season, you had a bunch of stuff happens. There's always so much drama here. And oh yeah, God, there was so much drama here. Yeah, okay. So, here is the post. I will read it for those who are not watching. Atticus decided he wants to play at midseason. Remember, Atticus is one of the managers of the Raiders. He will be placed into the player pool and be eligible to be bid on by all teams. The team Raiders name Hugan Dugan as their second assistant manager in his place. Because in SPL 5, then you could have more than one manager. I think it was 2. Yeah, it was 2 in that time. So, yeah. And then the following post is, this is a one-off exception. The future implications for how teams pick assistant managers a game, the money system at midseason is too negative to allow this to happen beyond this case. And you're wondering, okay, well, why is it being allowed in this case? And the answer is, I do not feel that there were any sort of ulterior motives to try and game the system in this case, which is why I'm allowing it. Which, I think that is true. I don't think that it was malicious. I mean, I guess maybe. Who knows if it's malicious or not? It's... like, we don't know whether... because Atticus wound up getting bought by the Sharks. So, I don't know personally if the Sharks and Atticus made a deal. Like, hey, I'm going to drop into the mid-season pool, and then you guys can get me, and then we can win together because my team sucks and I don't want to play anymore. It might have been that. I don't think so, but, who knows. But the real reason why it was being done was that Atticus was like, yeah, well, my team sucks, and now I want to play. Instead of just, being a manager on this, team that's not going to win at mid-season. So let me see if I can. And the fact that it was allowed is just mind-boggling. obvious. I know, like, this era of smoking gets referred to as the Wild West, specifically because of things like this. Like, the idea of this being allowed is just incomprehensible. I mean, even back then, and this was a tournament full of insane decisions. I'll try to cover some more of them on more Smogon Lore. But this one was just... But the thing is, it was insane even back then. People were like, how is this allowed? But nobody really cared because they didn't think it would be that impactful. And then Atticus proceeds to get slotted into DPPOU. And this was before DPP was fully ready on Showdown, which is why it was played on Pokemon Online, and there only exist text logs, which I have linked in the pinned comment. And Atticus, who had not played seriously for some time, went 6-0 in DPP en route, including the semifinals and the finals, and he helped the Sharks win the tournament. And he was playing some seriously good players, too. He played Tamahome in the semis, and he played Fakes in the finals. Yeah. It was pretty insane. So, it's still kind of unbelievable that it happened, but it did. So, that's pretty much it. I will leave the logs in the comments in the pinned comment for anyone who feels like reading them. They are some really great games. And that's about it. Thank you for watching / listening. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one.